does Bitcoin have one more sell-off coming before we see some sort of significant rally? Guys, welcome to Empire Trading Academy. Hit the like, hit the subscribe if you have not already. Let's get right into this. Bitcoin, most recent structure, a very similar structure that we've seen all the way down from the $68,000 top. Okay, we've seen it a few times now. All right, if we zoom out, we have our high here, roughly 68,000, okay? And we have continually seen these impulse moves that move down, okay? We get these selling off, then we get some sort of corrective redistribution phase, okay? And so we had a sell off here, somewhat of a bear flag here or inside of this channel, okay, before breaking and then seeing further. And we had the same thing, bear flag, making resistance and support, ascending typical corrective pattern before we see further downside. Now, if we look at our most recent structure, getting a very, very similar thing. Now, I didn't want to leave it too messy, but there's really two things going on. We do have this overall channel, okay, with our lows and with our highs there, basically going flat across, creating a pretty simple range. But we also do have a similar type of bear flag going on. Now we're looking at the daily right now. So if we look at the daily closes here, okay, and we draw that in, this is what we're looking at for our daily closes. Daily close. So again, resistance up here, support down here. Most recently, we've come down, we've touched this. If we go a little bit lower time frame, had a slight squeeze to the downside, or a false breakdown here. Okay, immediately came back up into the range, bear flag, and now we're seeing. Now, on these subsequent higher highs, we're getting some negative divergence here. However, which is giving an indication of some sort of weakness. Now, however, we are in the middle of this range, okay? Both this horizontal channel, okay? We haven't quite touched resistance. We're getting there. And then also in our bear flag, okay? We're still mid-range there. So it is definitely a higher risk. If you're seeing weakness, you're seeing that divergence on the RSI, and you're looking for short positions, it's still risky in my opinion. If you have tight stop losses, you can go have a crack at it, but we are still in mid-range, so it's not super high probability trade. Okay, so making our way up off of support, now making our way up to resistance. If and when we get into resistance here, we're going to be looking for some sort of reversal pattern in the lower time frame, because if you look, this structure overall, this is our macro structure. It's not big enough to give any sort of high time frame, real true reversal pattern up here at resistance. Okay, you could call this an Adam and Eve pattern. We had this on a big negative divergence on this top here at resistance. So that was a good indication. We had a deviation above the high here before coming back down, that deviation back down in, kind of like we saw here and here as well, and definitely here. That's a good indication that we're going to go to the down. Okay, making our way back up. Now, if we're looking at this for direction, where do we believe that it's going from here? Now, we can make our best guess just based on the structure that's forming. Okay, nobody knows 100%. Based on what we're seeing is that, once again, we're putting in another typical corrective, bearish corrective pattern. Okay, just like we've seen all throughout here, right? Now, once again, we're going up, testing resistance, and what we'll be watching for is something like this, some sort of little bounce, and then we'll go ahead and retest the low quick, okay, before most likely breaking down to roughly 1,000 before we get bounce. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at, something like that. Okay, now that's Bitcoin. All right, you also have to look at briefly look at the macro picture as well. We need to see, okay, well, where are we going to get all this buying pressure from? Yeah, sellers are exhausted. That's fine. which they could be. But if we were to take each of these moves down, these are getting slightly less and less selling, but only very, very slightly. Okay, so the buying is not happening yet. Okay, and then you have to think in the macro picture. The macro environment right now is not going to be too advantageous for big amount of money getting into new long positions. It's too high risk right now. So that's not our thesis that we go here. I think step down mostly because of what the charts are. Okay, typical bearish corrective pattern. Ultimately, we still do have our ultimate target for a bear market bottom of roughly $10. Okay, coincide with this horizontal or this ascending trend line. Okay, this blue box. Yes, we've already tested this previous high, right? But this blue box is a big level. People looking to buy, as well as the typical 85% trace. Typical 85% retrace to $10,000 that we do every single. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on Bitcoin, guys. Real quick, we'll go ahead and look at Ethereum. Kind of give the look. Very similar type pattern, right? So off of the high, okay, we have an impulse move selling there. We have a bear flag, typical corrective pattern before we break and sell off. The best ways to play this, guys, if you're looking for, let's say, longer swings on these corrective patterns, we can go ahead and we can put some sort of short position here up at resistance, corrective move, or a bear flag, stop loss above resistance. Give yourself a little bit of room in case we have a breakout. Okay, and then we can go ahead and we can start to the downside, move the stop loss up for guaranteed profit, break even, guaranteed slight profit, and then you can let this thing run. Okay, one idea. Now, what are we getting here for ETH? Okay, similar pattern. Not a bear flag, but a similar channel to what we got. Okay, definitely more strength in this structure than we did here. These are just a series of that we were putting in, and then it just dumped, right? Dumped out the bottom. Here we had a false breakdown there, and then we just changed similar to what we saw in Bitcoin. Up here, we're nearing resistance here. I would be looking for some sort of RSI, some kind of resistance, and then see what kind of pattern we get. Again, what we can look and what we'll look for is a short position up here, tight stop loss above the range. We've yet to have any sort of false breakout to the upside here. Tight stop loss there. If our trade goes for us, we start to see some downside, we'll go ahead, we'll move the stop loss break even or slight profit, and then we'll go ahead and let this thing run to the bottom, see what type of structure we can get here, possibly take partial profits, and then just let and get these nice big. All right, guys. So that's what we're looking at on Bitcoin and then Ethereum. Well, let me know what your thoughts in the comments, guys. Let me know where you think that we're going. If you have any charts to share that you think that we should be looking at, or things that we haven't noticed, please let us know. And we'll see you in the video.